I'm mic'd up. I'm hot. Okay.
All right, Doc. What separates what you do in your practice from other businesses similar to yours?
I'd have to say it's my passion for people. People getting the most out of their experience in life, and coming from an approach of just a natural, having the body heal itself, and looking for ways to bring that out, that natural healing.
All right, who's had the most impact on you and your career?
Jesus.
That's all right. I like that answer.
Yeah.
I like that answer. If you were a sport car, or if you were a car, what type of car would you be?
Dino Ferrari. Classic, fast, Italian.
All right, I got my last question. Last question. Can you tell me about someone that you impacted, that you served, like a client, and their feedback was life-changing, and it really had a big impact on you?
So many. I would have to say I had one experience with a gal who called me up in complete desperation, who woke up not able to see out of her right eye. Now, that was a test for me because, what, your neck doesn't hurt? It's not your back? Come on in and let me see what I can do for you. And she came in, and I identified the bone that was out in her neck, and I adjusted her, and she called back about 4 hours later and said, Doc, my vision's coming back. And so that was, for me, that really, you talk about something that changes what your perceptions about what you do and brings it to the next level. That was it for me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Dr. Roger Sesa, and first of all, I'll let you know that I am a health and wellness expert. That's what got me into this profession to begin with. I'm one of 366 certified health and wellness experts in the country. What that means is that I get to the pleasure of studying healthy people, and I get to find out what it is that makes them healthy, how they got that health, and how they keep it. Now, I can tell you that I am a huge lover of people. I love all of you, and I want to let you know that there is a tremendous amount of health and healing potential in all of you. We have so much abundance within us. We have so much of optimum. But the problem is there's interferences to that optimum. The problem is that we have a difficult time reaching that optimal achievement, and I think the first barrier was whether or not we can believe that or not. So, one of the barriers to our own health happens to be stress. One of the interferences is stress. In fact, stress is implicated about 90% of all the diseases out there. And if you didn't know, about 10 years ago, something really crazy happened in the world. We went from a society where infectious diseases were killing people at the highest rate to now be surpassed by chronic diseases. And that means that, yeah, we've done a great job of reducing infection, but we've done an awful job of understanding what it is that makes us sick, how we get there, and how that stress impacts us. My biggest job for all of you is getting you to the point to understand that maybe making a decision in a crisis situation is not the best way to do that. I want to create a pivot for you, something that will get you to change your perception of how things are done. Now, unfortunately, most people, when our health starts to fail us, that's when we start to make our decisions about it. And probably one of the worst areas to end up in a crisis situation is in a hospital, right? So sometimes we end up in that situation, and that's where the decision starts to be made. This is where people make, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a choice now to do something differently. And unfortunately, it's not the best place. So with a show of hands right now, can anybody raise your hand if you or a loved one of yours has been in the hospital in a crisis situation? Show of hands. Okay, right? So it's common, right? But this is not the place to have to make a decision about your health. So unfortunately, when it comes to these decisions, a lot of what we do is based on what we find on the internet. The number one website on all the internet is WebMD, because people go to this resource to try to find out what they can do. And unfortunately, when you go to WebMD, what is often the solution that you see there? What is the thing? Well, it's medications, right? That's usually the that's the thing that they're going to sell. You can see ads all over the place for them, and it's sort of become that norm. So I'll ask you. I mean, I think it's kind of kooky the way we do things, because in our bathroom there's a box, right? What's that box called? I kind of forget. Medicine cabinet, right? Isn't that kind of kooky that we actually have a place in our homes for medications? Now I'll ask you something. How do you know if you're healthy or not? If that thing's chock full of medications or it's empty?
Empty.
If it's empty, right? So you guys think like I do, right? So, but unfortunately, you know, there's a solution for every type of a problem out there with medications. I mean, we got Dayquil, we got NyQuil. Pretty soon for meetings just like this one, we're going to have a morning network quill. You know what I mean? So they're coming up with something new and new all the time. And the thing is, we push our bodies. We often push our bodies to the point like hard, like we go, do, and when things start, our body starts to send us little signals. It'll start to tell us that something's not quite right. We push through it. We take a medication, we drive on until we get to that point of crisis. So we really need to evaluate that whole situation. I want you to think more from that preventative aspect, like what can I do to take care of things before we end up having to make a decision in that crisis situation. See, that's what in my opinion, real health is all about. It's about doing those steps, those little things, and I hope what you'll do today is at least make 1 or 2 decisions to do something a little bit different to change the course that you're on, to bring out more of that health, to forward think. Where's my buddy? There he is, right there. Forward think. Forward think about your health. Make the steps, make the plans, or whatever that might be. So, we push ourselves through, we get to that point, and unfortunately, you know, there's another medication for another problem, and we can just keep piling those on. And now we're in this really crazy situation in our country right now. It's called polypharmacy. More than one medication. And what happens is people take a medication and they end up with a side effect, which can happen. They go back to their doctor, and what does their doctor do? It's a kind of a broad stroke approach towards our health. Instead of really getting to know what's going on with you as a person, what your goals are, what your health, you know, where you stand. Why do you, I ask questions in my practice all the time for my patients. I ask them, well, doc, I want to be healthier. Well, why? Well, because I want to live longer. Okay, well, why? Well, because I want to play with my grandkids. Okay, so what about that? I mean, why is that important to you? And I think sometimes the message that gets missed is that there's great things in longevity. I mean, everybody should achieve to have a long life, but not just a long life, but a really, really high quality of life. Like, I don't know, if you want to live to 100, I think that's fantastic, but what does 100 look like most of these days for most people? Like, the image is not that pretty, right? Well, what about living to a vibrant 100? You see how different that is? And the steps to living to a vibrant 100 starts with where we are right now. I mean, that's a long-term goal. So we got to do the things to make sure that we get there really well. One of my biggest idols and the people I love the most is the person who's like, how old's the oldest living person on record? Anybody know? 116? That's probably like right now is probably the oldest person right now. Oldest living person on record is 122 years old. Her name is Jeannie Calment. She was French. So 122. Now the thing about Jeannie was that she really got it because she was still riding a bike at 110. Like, how many 110s are on a bicycle? They're like, they won't even go near the thing, right? So, but there's a long-term vision. She danced. She had a love for life. She had a passion. She had an optimism. That's the first key. A great doctor once told me, if anything you do for a patient, never remove hope. Never remove hope. Because once hope is gone, then things will spiral downhill. So my job is to be a hope spreader. Like, I love spreading hope, and always see, no matter what the situation is for you or your loved ones, there's always a greater chance to create more hope, more love, more abundance, more health. These things are all achievable. So now, all of you in a capacity of your life, you have to serve to some degree somebody, yourself. You have to serve your family. You have to serve your clients, your people. And you are, in a way, sort of like an athlete. Now, I've had the pleasure of working on elite athletes, and I can tell you that every one of us is an athlete in our own way, right? But the problem is that athletes have tons of resources to take care of themselves, right? They've got lots of money, they've got a team, and they only have to work for about 3, 4, or 5 years at that high level to achieve what they need to achieve. Now, I can test that you're a corporate athlete, you're a business owner. You, instead of working really hard for 3 or 4 or 5 years, you have to do it for 20, 25, 30 years, right? So in that aspect, you are more important than that athlete is. So you deserve the kind of care and the way to take care of yourself for that long-term vision, that long-term goal. So my job for you is to get you to that point of treating yourself like an athlete, of taking really good care of yourself. I don't mean out there running marathons, although it's a fun thing to do for me. Right. But anyway, but what I'm saying is that you have a long-term goal, and you have to keep yourself in the best shape possible so you can achieve all that you can. And then when you get to that point where you're done and you've achieved what you can, then there's this wonderful thing called retirement. Yeah, Byron. So there's what they call retirement. And when you get to retirement, don't you want to be in good shape? Don't you want to feel like you've achieved what you can, so now that you can go out and my group here who walked like 100, thank you, walked 100 miles on their trip, pretty amazing stuff. So, you know, it's the long-term goal, it's a long-term vision. So I am here to help you to make that decision today, to do something today. Now, of all the barriers that people have for their health, I can tell you that finances usually is not the one. The biggest barrier is procrastination. A famous doctor said procrastination is the thief of health. We wait till it really gets bad, and then we finally make the decision again in that crisis situation, which is not where you want to do it. So today, for this group that I love so much, for everybody here, I want to see have greater health. I'm going to make an offer to you. You can come into my practice, get things checked out for yourself, which is the exam. If I need to take x-rays, that's available to you as well, and it's only going to be $20. Now usually it's you know, for this group it's much more than that. You know, if you go to ER, to urgent care, you're going to spend like $500 for x-rays, exam, all medications. The doctor spend like 2 minutes with you. I don't do that. So I want to make an offer to you. If you want to take advantage of the offer, I'm going to hang out here for a little while later. We can set something up for you, and I just want to know that I love you. I see the potential of all of you. And from a health and wealth standpoint, isn't that better than waiting for the crisis to happen? All right. God bless you.
We have 1 minute for questions, so 1 minute for questions.
Take a testimonial right now?
A testimonial? Sure. Absolutely.
A couple weeks ago, I was at a chamber breakfast with Tammy. She could testify. It was awesome. I was bonked. Left the breakfast, went to a client, was feeling a little achy, went home, iced my back. 30 minutes later, I was locked up, couldn't stand, sit, transition. Called Dr. Roger up. He brought me in that day. Saw him that day, that Friday, and twice next week. And by the end of the next week, I was about 85%. I'm 100% again. That was just a couple weeks ago. Now, I've had my back go out like that and spent 3 months in bed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because he got me out of bed really quick.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael.
So good, he slept because he slept like a baby. Good coaching. If you have questions, which you probably all do, take advantage of his offer and then get a coaching session with him. And plus, he gets to know you.
Right. Absolutely.
Thanks, Dr.
All
Rob.
right.
Thank you, Doc.